Uh, Before we understand and learn cloud, let us see what is a web application, how and what is behind these web applications, how we can access these web through web. For example, imagine that you wanted to put your own website and you wanted to access your website from your device or the internet. The very first basic thing is we need to understand what is a server. So a server is nothing but a package of resources, like it needs some kind of storage, memory, processing power. It's a bunch of hardware kept aside for your computation needs. So this server will be having an IP address. So what is IP address? We can relate it to like our cell phone. When we purchase a cell phone, the cell phone also will be having kind of storage, memory, processing, everything it will be having. It's a piece, and this piece we need to connect anywhere within the world. So how we will be able to connect to that? So the mobile number, just like that, the server will be having an IP address, similar like x dot y dot z dot delta. This is an IP number will be given to this server, and server is ready. So any person can access to this server using internet. So this user is having a device. From the device, he can use this IP number and connect to this server. Now the server is empty, nothing is there inside. So we wanted to put our website here. We will be developing a piece of code using Java or Python or any other language. This code we will compile, and then we'll get artifacts or binaries, so which can be executed on a compute machine. So this after these artifacts are generated, we will be putting it to the server, and these artifacts will be running within the instance or a server. And this web application will be exposed via port number. So if you wanted to access this web application over the internet, we will be using IP number and port here in our browser. Then the request will hit this web server and get the data or the resources which we have kept within the web server and come to the browser. Then browser will display nice web page. For example, first you wanted to create your own company. You have built a web page just like a company name and a company logo, and you have kept here. The request hits this web server and gets back the web pages or resources into your browser, and your browser can display what it is there within the server. So when we got mobiles, always if we wanted to type numbers in order to call our friends, is it convenience? It's definitely not. Similarly, in our web browser, always we can't take the IP numbers. This is a mathematical numbers and port numbers. So in order to request this one, so these IP numbers are masked with domain name servers. Just like in our mobile phones, we type numbers, and for that number we will give our friend name and the catalog. So when we type our friend name, automatically under the friend name, the mobile number will be taken and connected to that particular mobile. Similarly, there will be DNS servers in the world. They will be maintaining website names, some xyz.com, something like that, and the IP numbers. So the first thing is, when you type xyz.com, the very first request will go to DNS, and after that it will verify xyz.com, and it will take the IP number, and that IP number will be passed back to your browser. Once the browser get the IP number, then the browser can make actual request to the particular IP number, and the request goes to that particular server and looks inside the server via the port through which this web application has been exposed, and go and run this binaries. And after that, the very first request, it will understand, I wanted to send my web page back to the device from where the request has come. So then the request will be completed and the web page will be opening. Further that, you can develop this web application so that you can click some page, some other page will open, and you can see the static content. That information will be exchanged from to in between the client and server. This is the client server model. So overall what we can see here is, like, when you wanted to develop a web application, you wanted to select some language, write the code, compile the code, and take the binaries and put the binaries within a server. A server will be having an IP address, and also you can expose this web application via some port, and this IP number and port you can take in the browser, or else you can give a domain name just like a friendly name to your website. So that domain name versus actual IP numbers will be stored in DNS servers maintained all over the world. So if you take DNS name in the browser will first make a call to DNS server and take the actual IP address for that particular domain name. Once it receives the actual IP number, then your device or browser will call to that IP number, and the request will go and hit that server and look into the browser and get back the resources into your browser. You can see the web pages, videos, and everything. This is how the background is. Yeah, we'll stop here. Thank you.